Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have a sentencing hearing with a man who has a long history of petty crime and drug offenses. He also has a history of not showing up for court, and he's got an outstanding bench warrant in another case. The judge has concerns about how truthful he's being with the court, so he decides to verify his information with his employer. Let's see how that goes.
This is file number 231419, People versus Michael David Dowling. Mr. Dowling is here with his lawyer, Mr. Tim George. Also present is Daniel Frazine from the Probation Department, who prepared the report. I have two similar troubling cases today, which are essentially possession of methamphetamine cases, small amounts, with defendants not really being forthright. Mr. Dowling was charged with possession of methamphetamine as a second offender, as a fourth habitual offender, making it punishable by potentially up to life imprisonment. The matter was reduced to a misdemeanor charge of use of methamphetamine, and the defendant entered a plea. Had some history. Judge Patterson had it, and I had it. Ultimately, the defendant entered a plea to a misdemeanor charge of use of methamphetamine. That was in front of me. He indicated he had some charges in Steuben County, Indiana. There was something else out there somewhere from Indiana. He also has a driving suspended second offense charge that he failed to appear in front of Judge Patterson earlier this week, and Judge Patterson issued a bench warrant for his arrest. So there's an open warrant for him, but he is here now. Frankly, I didn't know what to do, so I asked for a pre-sentence report, and Daniel drew that difficult assignment and has prepared a pre-sentence report. Mr. George, what would you like me to know?
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, to start, I know that my client has provided me a copy of a letter. I know the court hasn't had the opportunity to read it, so I'm just going to summarize that letter, and I'll get a copy of Mr. Frazine in the court. This is from Joe Johnson. It's dated 12/11/23. It indicates that Michael Dowling has been a patient at the Victory Clinic since January 19th of 2017. He's prescribed a daily dose of methadone by Dr. Keelhorn. There is a significant packet here of drug screens that show that he was able to maintain sobriety for a significant period during his maintenance program. He's presently in the active action stage and has voiced his commitment to sobriety he once achieved at this time. In addition to daily medication, Michael is also participating in weekly individual counseling, attending the Building Blocks / Living in Balance group, has regular meeting with the program physician, and is a member of the Victory Clinic Opiate Health Home, and therefore receiving additional case management services as needed. In addition to services at VCS, Mr. Dowling has begun working with Integrated Services of Kalamazoo, and has also established a primary care physician at the Family Health Center. He's currently working at Summit Polymers and is presently in training for the level 2 mold tech position. So in speaking with my client and also speaking with the prosecutor resolving this case, I think that one of the things that is clear is obviously there's a significant substance abuse issue, and that's been something that has troubled him for a long period of time. But I think he has taken steps to try to do what he can to address that issue. And I think he's straight up that there are certain triggers that happen, certain things that happen that cause him to fall back into that lifestyle. But that's not something that's uncommon for somebody who's addicted to substances. In the end, Your Honor, my client is, I think, looking for an opportunity to prove to himself, to prove to Mr. Frazine, and prove to the court that he can do a successful probation. He brought his marriage license with him when I called him earlier this week. He was on his way to get married, just got married on Monday. So I think he's proud of what he's doing right now. And I think that, you know, the court has heard me say this before, and it's true today. the jail is always there. And he understands that he pled to a misdemeanor that's punishable by up to a year in jail. So my suggestion to the court, and what we'd ask of this court today, is to give him that opportunity to be on a probation. Obviously, he has the issue in Indiana that he has to deal with, that is in Steuben County. It's my understanding there is a court date that's set for January. He's prepared to go and handle that, but overall, Your Honor, I'm not making light of it, but it is a residue case. I understand that my client does have a significant history, but he's just looking for the opportunity to show that he can, do what this court asks him to do and continue in his substance abuse treatment. Thank you.
Mr. Dowling, what would you like to tell me?
I just want one opportunity. I know I've had the chances before. The one time that I was on probation with Dan, well, the double probation, it got revoked because of that law not being in effect no more. But I've done the probation center. I've completed it. I have completed things. I have done things. I just want one opportunity this time to show.
Tell me about methamphetamine.
It's been the worst thing in my life. I mean, I got addicted to opiates when I was 18. The doctors prescribed them, and I got taken off of them. And meth always kind of just happened to show up in my life when I needed it the worst, or not the most. But I don't. It's been a
Well,
problem.
if I gave you a meth test right now, what would it show?
Negative.
Let me see the letter. So it's a test.
And then there's all my tests from the last 6 years from the Victory Clinic.
You were real vague. It's a whole bunch of shuck and jive forever. Trying to get a straight answer out of you has been hard. And Daniel had the same experience trying to talk with you. You're with a guy who's got warrants out for arrest, driving around in Sturgis at 10 o'clock at night, allegedly going to Myers to get a brake light. And you got this meth in the car, but it's really just trace amounts. It's not like it's a
It was still there though.
right. And then you didn't have a clear explanation for it. Were you smoking meth at that time?
Yeah.
And we find more recently the combination of opioids and methamphetamine. We've been to a lot of different treatment conferences. Mr. George went to a big one in just Denver earlier this fall. I've been to a couple this year. Nobody has a handle on methamphetamine. They've got all kinds of solutions and medical assisted treatment for opioids like Suboxone and your methadone clinic. They've got other options that they're working on with alcohol, but no one has a good handle on meth. We just had a big press conference by the Western District of Michigan, the U.S. Attorney in Grand Rapids. Had a bunch of press there saying we have a lot of fentanyl, but the number one drug charge in West Michigan is methamphetamine, which was certainly no surprise to me. It's very debilitating. It's extremely addictive. And so we get people who are addicted to opioids who get methamphetamine to get enough ambition to go get more opioids. And a lot of the opioids, as you know, on the street have got fentanyl. And in fact, they're mixing fentanyl with everything. The Taliban has shut down 95% of the opium poppy production in Afghanistan, if what NPR said last night is correct. So heroin is not as prevalent, although now it's being grown in Myanmar. But fentanyl is coming across the border in unprecedented amounts, and it's scary. If it were not for Narcan, we'd probably have 3 million people a year die of opioid overdose. Maybe they do something at that point. So anyway, you got this meth issue. You're driving around with somebody with a warrant for his arrest doing I don't know what. If I put you in jail, you're gonna go through withdrawal from your methadone, which is very unpleasant. Maybe even harder than a heroin withdrawal. But I didn't know you were working. How long have you been working at Summit Polymers?
I was at Summit the 6 years that I had my clean drug test from, and I started back there 3 months ago. I went to the Kalamazoo plant from Sturgis.
Is that in here, Daniel? Do we know he's at Summit Polymers?
Yeah, Plant 18 Pavilion plant.
Now, there's a warrant for your arrest for failing to appear on a driving suspended charge with Judge Pattison.
I thought those guys.
And let's take a look at that. So you gotta stop driving. You don't have a driver's license. I don't
No,
know.
I'm in the process of selling my car actually right now. I have to go to Indiana or Florida to be able to get my license.
You don't live in Florida, you live in Michigan.
Right.
So you can't go to Florida. You mean you have some suspensions in Florida that are causing you to be suspended?
Yeah, I have to go there to see the judge, and then I'll be able to get my license. I went to the DMV in Sturgis to find out what I had to do because last year they did that, the dropping of.
Yeah, you were supposed to be at a pretrial on December 5th with Judge Pattison, and you didn't show up. So he issued a bench warrant, but you didn't go anywhere. You just didn't show up.
I thought I got. Didn't.
Who's his attorney in that matter, John?
I don't know. He has an old drug case from 2016, which he has resumed making payments on. He paid on November 7th. He had another payment due December 1st and didn't pay it. He's on a payment plan for like 5 different cases, but that was after this came up. His license has been suspended for quite some time. Let me take a look at that other case. And you smoke marijuana and cigarettes.
No, I don't smoke cigarettes.
Somebody does. These pleadings all smell like smoke. So is yours, Christy? Okay. Well, that's good. And it's not crime to smoke cigarettes, but we got enough addictions. But really, all this boils down to is you're tooling around with a meth pipe in your pocket and some in your car and some trace amounts of meth. He also had some landlord tenant stuff, but I think we've taken care of all that. It's alleged that on August 3rd, you were driving with a suspended license. And you didn't get arrested on this case until September 10th. Although it occurred back in March. Occurred in March, they sent the stuff to the crime lab, it came back, they issued a warrant in July. You should have been arrested for when you got this ticket on August 3rd. Because there was apparently a live warrant, but you didn't get arrested until September 10th. So you're not in violation of your bond with your driving charge. Yeah, you're suspended for a bunch of reasons, but unpaid tickets, a traffic crash in 2016, a couple of drunk driving charges. Now, you did get a restricted license from Pawpaw, but that was way a long time ago, and you got that cleared up. Anyway, you've got more than Florida problems with your license. You live in Greenlawn and Sturgis.
Yeah, I'm moving, I'm gonna be going to Three Rivers here, but yeah, that's my, the home
But
address.
how do you get from Summit Polymers in Kalamazoo every day?
I have a driver,
Oh, that's cumbersome.
because I have to go to the clinic too. You got your ticket at 8 o'clock in the morning on August 3rd in Sturgis, which is a Thursday morning. What shift do you work at? Third shift,
First shift?
third.
Third. So this would have been in the morning. Anyway, that Judge Pattison keeps his notes different than I do, but he no-showed for his arraignment on August 23rd, and Judge Pattison issued a bench warrant. You got defaulted on the plate violation. Then you got arrested on November 2nd. Posted $100 bond on November 3rd. They gave you a notice for a pretrial for November 30th. And you didn't show up. So Judge Pattison lost his patience and issued a $1,000 bench warrant for your arrest. And they revoked the earlier bond. So what's up? You get a ticket, you don't show up in August, you get arrested on a bench warrant. Judge Pattison lets you out of jail, gives you a pretrial date, you don't show up for the pretrial, issues a warrant. It all says drug addiction and lack of focus. So you're here today. I think you're still bobbing like a cork in the ocean. But I don't want to ask you about those other things because those are, let's see about this case. So Daniel, I wasn't joking when I said this was a difficult assignment. You'd already had him on probation once before. Twice, which didn't go well. He wants one chance.
Well, I'd like to say,
Well-
Michael's always very polite.
He certainly is.
And everybody that's ever interacted with him, whether it be at the jail, here, the court, will never say that he's rude or anything else. So he's always very polite, which that is a blessing in and of itself, because most people with his kind of history aren't so congenial. However, I think the Florida is a great example of his deflection and sugarcoating things, which is also what he does. He has numerous, I don't know if you can open up a case that won't have a failure to appear. He told me he's been at the methadone clinic for over 10 years. I do know that when he was on my probations, he was at the methadone clinic. So I don't know if there was a stop and a start time, because the letter said 2017. But he's been involved, and his numbers were a lot higher now. They're like down really, really low. So I don't know that it would actually cause an issue, because they are so low at the methadone clinic as far as coming off of it. But this happened in March. He told me at the pre-sentence investigation that I did that he was still using in October and November, because he said a month and a half, maybe two. And I know from talking to him that those are probably generous dates. So this continued for more months. He told me it happened back when his wife had died last year. I believe it was May of 2022. So he'd been using for a while. I know there's been a tendency to say, oh, it's a pipe case or it's just a residue case. But I would say someone getting off at third shift, putting on a hoodie with a meth pipe in it, I would suspect they're probably using meth, because you don't accidentally know what's in there. Put on a hoodie, you'd feel a pipe that was in there. So I'm really suspicious that he wasn't using it after work. And then I actually believe his brake light story, but I still think that he was probably using that day. This is
Well,
also a
he just
habitual
said he
pattern.
was, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and he's admitted to continued use. He said he has numerous failed drug tests from the methadone clinic. And if you look at the escalating sentences, his last revoked for this exact same charge was 180 days. He's not learning. He's been at the methadone clinic for over 10 years. He minimizes everything. Driving around with meth pipes on him. I couldn't, in all conscience, not recommend at least 180 days, which is what he did last time. And again, I wish him the best and stuff, but I don't think a term of probation. He's already seeing a psychiatrist and a counselor on a regular basis at the methadone clinic. So I don't know what we would accomplish on a term of probation.
I don't either. Couple things. There's no mention in here of Summit Polymers. Do we know he was working?
Well, and that must be on me, because I have notes that he was working at the one for 3 months. And he had told me about, he was at Kalamazoo now. What I wasn't clear about was if he went directly from there, if there was a pause between Kalamazoo and the transfer. I don't know if there was if he worked directly from there, but I had that in my notes, so I must have just forgotten.
The other thing is I'd like to send him for a drug test, but he has a warrant for his arrest. What have you got there? A check stub or something?
No, it's my ID card to get into the door.
Oh, it's Summit Polymers. All right, let's see it. Well, that doesn't show me much. It does
Yeah.
look like you. What plant are you at?
Pavilion plant, 19.
Through a temp or through?
No, into the door.
All right, let's call Summit Polymers and confirm that he's working there.
Wanna go do that right now, Aaron?
Yes. Maybe Laura can help you, or you can navigate it yourself. Who did you marry?
Christy Pete,
Okay, I see Christy there.
Christy Dowling.
But I thought there was someone else that you were with.
No, at the time, Rachel Feathers passed away.
Yeah, okay.
You were never married.
All right, I missed that. Daniel
Yeah.
mentioned it.
Yeah, he put
Christy,
it down that I was married
when did she die?
on May 25th, or May 25th is my birthday. She died May 26th, 2022.
All right. How'd she die?
We don't know. I still never got back anything. I came home from work and she was on the bed dead
Which was where?
at the apartment in Sturgis.
All right, now Christy lives in Three Rivers.
Correct.
So you're married, so you're gonna be living there?
Yeah.
All right, we'll have a seat. We'll confirm this employment stuff. I'm still not clear on how you're getting to the methadone clinic in Summit Polymers every day, but you're not charged with a driving charge here. Um, Your testing from there, you're positive for amphetamines on 10/21. Oh, that's 21. Some alcohols in here. Let's see what your most recent testing is. Oh, this is real helpful. 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 19, 20, 22. Yeah, this isn't helpful. The most recent test on here is March of 22. Okay, well, we'll come back to this. We'll see what he finds out about Summit. Rochelle Elliott. Don't let him go. There's an open warrant for him, so we got to deal with that. All right, we return to the matter of Michael Dowling. He does have another case in Kalamazoo coming up in January. We did try to confirm his employment. Mr. Frazine, what were you able to determine?
Well, I think it summarizes what I was saying earlier. Plant 19 is in Vietnam. I called Plant 8 is in Vicksburg and Plant 3 is in Sturgis. He was employed with the Plant 3 in Sturgis. He was terminated back in 2022. He no longer works for Summit Polymers.
Yeah, that's after Kalamazoo, plant 18, Pavilion plant. You called
Yeah.
Vicksburg and you called Sturgis.
I called, she had access to all of them. She checked them all for me. That's what she told me. And I asked her about Kalamazoo. And she said he was terminated back in 2022.
That's after Rachel died. I'd quit work. I'd just gone back to work. I've been working for the last 2 months. Can I have my phone? I can show you my payment check stub thing.
Give us the number. If you're not working at Summit Polymers, I'm going to give you 365 days in jail. Peeing on my leg and telling you that's raining ain't helping. So
Yeah, she told me she had to log in to check them all to make sure she checked them all. And she said, he's not employed with Summit Polymers. She put me on hold for a minute so she could double check that.
So you contend you're working at plant 18, the Pavilion plant in Kalamazoo?
No, about that. Nope.
How about that?
I had been working there and I got put on layoff. I was supposed to
Give
go
him
back to
this.
summer. Yeah. Reports.
It's the same shit. Pardon my French. Mr. Frazine has tried to deal with you for some time without much success. I don't really have the luxury of giving you 180 days for having a meth pipe, but you are imbued with criminal thinking. And it hurts my feelings when people lie to me. And you're good at it. They look you right in the eye and show me that phony ID.
No, honestly, I had been working there. I was going to go on layoff, but I didn't go back on the 6th.
All right.
So, I haven't checked up.
Stop. Just stop.
I will.
And then I don't know why you don't show up 2 times for Judge Pattison. He's got to deal with you. You got 3 days credit. I'm gonna order 93 days, credit 3. Leaving 90 days to serve. The fine is 0. I'm even waiving your attorney fee. Poor Mr. George drew this assignment. $125 minimum cost or 2 additional days. No probation, no testing, no nothing. Just 90 days in jail. When you get out and you start your life over again, you got married, you have a place to live. Judge Pattison will probably see you later today on the bench warrant. You can go to the officer.
You're gonna get into waste.